Hi guys! So today we're going to make candy gloves per your request. I decided to make a tutorial. Just so you know, this project takes hours and requires a ton of beads and string and honestly patience. So if you don't know how to make an X-base cuff, please go watch my tutorial until you've completely mastered the X-base in all kinds of patterns, because these candy gloves are essentially just really long X-base cuffs. Now, the number of beads you're going to need will depend on the size of gloves you're making. So if you want to make, this tutorial is going to make a 30, which is this medium size right here. But if you want to make a 33 or a 36 or a 27, you're going to need a slightly different number of beads. So essentially when it comes to sizes, this is an X-base cuff, so it goes in multiples of 3. I'm going to go over a little bit here. If you want to make a size 30, which is what fits me, you're going to need 10 different colors. If you want to make a size 27, which fits, they're pretty small, they fit my 11-year-old neighbor, you're going to need 9 colors. If you want to make a size large, which is this one, this 33 right here, that fits my husband, that's 11 colors. And if you want to make a size 36, which fits my dad, it's even bigger, you're going to need 12 colors. So you're going to need approximately 50 beads per color per glove. So if you're going to make a pair of gloves that match, which is a commitment, you're going to need 100 beads per color ish, kind of depending on the length. So if you want to make it even longer than these, which you absolutely can, you're going to need more sets of 3. And then you're also going to need, in addition to beads for the stripes, again, if you're going to make a pair, you're going to need about 100 per stripe. You're going to need bracelet beads for these, I call them the bracelet part. It's like the base of the X-base cuff. And you can see here there's sets of 2 and 1 individual ones, sets of 2 and 1 individual ones. You're going to need about 40, if you're going to make a size 30 glove, you'll need 40 of these sets of 2 and 20 of these singles. And if you're going to make 2 gloves, multiply that by 2. And as you go up in size, you will need more, and as you go down in size, you will need fewer. But one glove uses about 50 beads per stripe and 40 base bracelet beads and 20 connector base bracelet bead. All right, let's get started. Cool, so for my colors today, I got really inspired by this pretty bracelet I made with this purple, red, pink, orange, yellow. So I'm going to use these colors. I've got 2 purples, 2 reds, 2 pinks, 2 oranges, and 2 of these super pale yellows. One of them is almost a white. And we'll get to measuring in a second here. Oh, and you're definitely going to want a needle. This project is going to be terrible without a needle. It will lose all of its fun. But first thing I'm going to do, we'll measure in a second here, I got ahead of myself, is take your end of your string. I like it still attached to the spool in case I screw this one up and it's not so hard to measure. And we're going to do 2 of your base bracelet beads, those things that go next to each other, and then 1 of your connector bracelet beads. And you're going to do this, depending on the size of glove you're making, you're going to do this anywhere from 9 to 12 times. So if I'm making a small, I'm going to do this 9 times. If I'm making a medium, I'm going to do this 10 times. If I'm making a large, I'm going to do this 11 times. And then if I'm making an extra large, I'm going to do this 12 times. And I'll just kind of leave that out for you guys to see. And again, if you've never made an X-base cuff, please go make one, because, I mean, they're not that complicated. It's just, that's a skill you're going to want here. I'm really excited to make this tutorial. You can tell I'm kind of nervous. I've been really really, like, these gloves are super important to me, and I've wanted to teach people how to make them for a long time. I've actually made this tutorial before. I just think I screwed it up at the end. I screwed up tying it, so I didn't end up posting it. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 more. So cool. So I got 10 here. So however many, if you're making, I went over the numbers earlier, but yeah, if you're making a 9, 10, 11, or 12, you should have that many numbers of sets of 3 until you have either 27, 30, 33, or 36 beads on your string. So here we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 30 beads on my string, which is the size I want to make. So I want to stop you here before you completely tie it off. I'm going to make sure it's taut, but I don't really want it to be tight. Now we start from the fingertips down, so I want this part to be kind of stretchy. So when I use my, when I wear my gloves, they're not like hugging my fingers super tight. So I'm going to tie them like a little tight, but not like, you know, not like I were sculpting a 3D object or doing something like that. I just want to tie them kind of taut, so they're kind of hugging each other, but it's not like the tightest tie ever. Now the knot itself you want to be very tight. Don't get that confused. You want the knot to be super secure. See, I just tied it like 100 times. And then we're gonna cut off our short end of string. Cool, and now I'm gonna measure. Now the reason I measure at this point and not earlier is because in case I like mess up tying the bracelet, or I don't like the way the bracelet looks, or something else goes wrong with it, then I don't have to, or maybe I tie it too tight, right? And then I don't have to like have it cut too short of string on this part. One thing I'm gonna pause you guys at right here is when you wear the glove, so I'll show you with this one. When you wear the glove, oops, that's backwards. Don't put them on backwards. Your bracelet beads that you're adding right now are going to go on right about here. So you want to make sure that is kind of like, you want it a little big, honestly, so you can move your fingers around. If it's a little snug, that's okay. But I'll show you what I mean. Kind of put the bracelet around your fingers right there and make sure it's cozy and it's not like squeezing you or like falling off. It should just be kind of cozy, and you'll hold the glove with your thumb when you wear it, like your thumb will catch it and make sure it doesn't fall off. But if you decide you want to change the size, like this would be the time, right? And this would be before you cut off your 20 feet of string. Next up, we cut off 20 feet of string. Cool, so we might have too much, and that's okay. It does kind of depend on what size bracelet you're making. So if you're making a larger bracelet, you're going to need probably more. If you're making a smaller bracelet, you might need slightly less. But I'm going to do 4 wingspans for these. And you can do this in chunks, like of 1 wingspan, and then add more string as you go along. If I'm going to sell the bracelet or the cuff or the glove or whatever I'm making, then I usually do it 1 piece of string, and if my string gets caught or if I run out of string, then I will just make the project over, which sucks because you usually run out of string toward the end. But you're welcome to do it in chunks, because let me tell you, when you do 20 feet of string through tiny little beads, they definitely get tangled. Another thing I wanted to add, and I just kind of skipped through this, when I add my string to my needle, I don't actually tie the string to the needle. I tie the string around the needle like this. And that allows a smaller knot, so you can the beads go through easier. Cool. And the next thing I'm going to do is head through the connector bead that I'm next to. We're going to start with our X base cuff. Cool, you should be coming out like this. Hope everyone can see. And now I've got my 10 colors for my size 30. I'm going to line them up in the order that I want them to go on my spiral. And that's going to make your life so much better. If you are using a mixed bag, that is risky. It is definitely possible, but you got to pay a lot closer attention. So, and I'm just going to start with my first color. And just like we're building an X base cuff, we're going to add 3 of our first color. It should look like that. And then, yep. So as we add the 3, we're going to go through the next connector bead, just like we're building an X base cuff. Add 3 of my next color. In this case, that's like this deep red that I really like. Nah, it's flying. I got it. It's safe. Cool. I'm gonna add this pretty like pale yellow. When it comes to picking out my bracelet beads, I usually go with beads that are already in the pattern. You certainly don't have to. I feel like it's just like they always match. Cool. Almost got a little tangled. Cool. Should kind of look like this so far. Add 3. Your next color. Put it through your connector bead. One, 2, 3. And I'll show you how to get to the next row in case you don't already know. as we come across our last color, which in my case is this nice dark purple clear color, we're going to go through this connector bead and up until you're coming out of the top, that center bead on your first color you added. Cool, and you should be something like this. So I also want to point out here again what I said earlier about the bracelet. Make sure you're not pulling too tight. I know that's usually what we would do in the event that we were, you know, Kandi making, but for gloves you do want them to be kind of just like sort of the beads to just be kind of resting there, and that'll make them easier to put on and get off and like wear around your hand. And as we come out of this pretty pink, whatever your first color was, we're gonna add another row of these pretty pink ones. Another row, another set of these pretty pink ones, like this this set of 3, and then we'll go ahead and add the red, or whatever your second color is. You're gonna go through the center bead on the next one. This is just an X-base cuff at this point, but we're gonna do this spiral pattern. Oh, I got a rogue piece of string over there. Cool. Now that I'm there, I'm gonna add the color I'm coming out of in a set of 3. Grab the rogue piece of string in my string. And I'm coming out of this pale yellow. We're going to add another set of 3 for this pale yellow. And as you get to this point, kind of make sure you like how your pattern is turning out. Kind of make sure you like, you know, the color theories you're using, because if you're not sure at this point, then change it. And as we get further and further into the project, you're going to be more and more committed to the way your colors look together. You can see it's kind of fanning out. That is totally fine. It'll start to stand up as we get further down. I'm going to finish up this row with you. So you're going to go until you have 5 rows. That's not 5 X's, but 5 rows of 3. And then we're going to meet back up, okay? I'll finish this one with you just so we get kind of the whole thing done. It's kind of starting to turn into a skirt, and you'll notice that. And it will continue to do so as we get up the glove. So color we're coming out of, add 3 into the next center bead. The color we're coming out of, And when you come to your next row, you're going to go in through the center bead on the row below you, and then out through the center bead on the row you just added, kind of like that. I hope that makes sense and that you guys can see. And you're going to do that until, so at this point we should have 2 rows of 3. You're going to do that until you have 5 rows of 3, and then we'll meet back up for the thumb hole. And then tighten it just a little bit so it starts to stand up. Doesn't really matter if you do, especially if your glove's running a little small. I don't recommend it, but mine are usually a little bit big on me. So, yeah, out through the color we're coming out of is the color we're adding, and then you add the center into the center bead on the next row. So come back when we have 5, okay? Okay, and now that we have 5 rows of 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're gonna get started on making our thumb hole. So again, now that we have 5 rows of 3, we're gonna get started on making our thumb hole. So the next thing I want you to do is do 2 sets of 2. And like for this whole pattern, we're doing the color we're coming out of. So I have 2 on my needle instead of 3. And I'm gonna go through the center bead. And the next one. Just like we've been doing, except instead of 3, we're doing 2. And we're gonna do that one more time. And then we're going to go back to 3. So we're going to do 2 one more time in the next color, through the next center bead, like that. And now we're going to go back to 3 and through the next couple center beads with the color we're coming out of. Now as we get to our last one, see there's no, see where we would go through this one and then up through the next center bead if we were making a regular row? Well, instead we're going to go in through this center bead on the bottom row, and we're going to come out, I'm going to show you, so we're going to come out this center bead on this side past the 2. So you're going to loop your needle, and you're going to want to needle all the way through until we're coming out of here, and you might have to do it in 2 pieces, which is what I'm going to do. Now whatever you do here, don't pull super tight. This is the part that goes around your thumb. So you want it to be kind of loosey-goosey. And again, I have to do it in 2 chunks, but I'm going to come out of this one right here, and I'll pause for a second so you can see. Perfect. And now we're going to go through and add sets of 3 across, just same thing we've been doing, color we're coming out of. Into the center bead. Color we're coming out of. Into the center bead. And as you come to this side where you have nowhere to go, you're going to go through, you're going to do the same thing you did before, but you're going to come out of this bead right here. It should be the same color as the bead we came out of last time, but it's the top center bead. And keep your eye on this bead because we're going to use this in our next row too. So you're going to go through just like we've been doing, just like we did last time. Through a couple more. So we're coming out of this one. Got it? I'll pause and show you something too. Keep your eye on this bead. Remember which one this is because we're going to use it next. But so it should look kind of like this, and you should have this little dip right here. That's perfect. And once again, rows of 3 until we get to the other side. Or sets of 3, I guess. I'm just detwisting my string. And in through the center bead. And as we come around the other side of the thumb hole, I will show you what to do next. Cool. Should look like this. Yep, should look like that. All right. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. You're gonna add 12 beads to your string. I call this the bracelet part. So you're gonna add 12 beads to your string, in the order of 3 of this color, 3 of this color, 3 of this color, and 3 of this color. And you're going to go in through that bead I told you to remember. That's this one. That's the center bead on the row below the row we just added. So I hope that made sense, and I'll show you what I mean. 1, 2, 3 of this color. Pull them back. 1, 2, 3 of this color. 1, 2, 3 of your next color. And 3 of this color that's kind of been like cut off. And you're going to go through here, just like we said, and you're going to cut out the next center beads. You're going to go through 3 beads with 12 beads on your string. You're going to get tangled a little bit. That's okay. Cool. Should look like this. It should be all loosey-goosey and wobbly, and we like that because this is where your thumb is going to come out. Next, as you probably guessed, we're going to do 3 of each color we're coming out of into the center bead on this row. But just so you know, these middle beads here, these are your center beads now. These middle beads of these sets of 3, these are your center beads now. So I'll show you what I mean when we get around, and then we'll probably fast forward through almost the rest of the video until we tie it off. And it's going to start to make that skirt shape again, like it did when we started. And as we get to the bracelet part where we have our 12 beads on one string, remember that the center bead of each color is the center bead for that row. It'll turn out real nice. So we go in through here, just like that. Can you see? You can see this is kind of wobbly on here. That's a good thing. We want that because that part's going to get pretty stretchy as someone puts this on their hand. So we want it to kind of be loose. We don't want it to be super tight in there. It is easier to do this with multiple short pieces of string. If you're making gloves for yourself, I recommend doing that. Me, I'm sort of insane, and I like to make them all one little piece. Cool. And just as if we were meeting any of our other rows that we've done so far, 3 beads on the string, through the middle one of the bottom row, and up through 2 more, 3 total until you're coming out of the center bead on the next row. Alright guys, so now that we have our thumb hole and we have our little center beads are pretty obvious on the next row, I'm going to help you count kind of how many layers we have right now, how many rows we have right now. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I usually count from the center bead of one of the rows that's not cut off by the thumb hole. So we have 9 rows right now. I want you to make at least like 15. It makes a nice glove. You can go up to like 20 or 25 even if you want to make a really long glove, kind of depending on how many beads you have. I'll probably do 15 or 16 for this video, but just keep going. Pattern we've been doing, enjoy it, take your time, and we'll meet up again when we're getting ready to close this thing off. Alright, now I've got 17 rows here. I got a little carried away. Like I said, you can make your gloves as long as you want or as long as you have the beads for. But now we're going to add some coming out of a center bead on my kind of like main row that I've been working with. And now we're going to add 1 more row, but instead of 3 of this color, we're going to do 2. So 1 of this color, 1 of this bracelet connector color, and then another 1 of this color. So just kind of like we're making a regular X base. And I'll show you what I mean. Like this. Because this is my bracelet connector color right there in the middle. And we'll do this all the way around, and I'll go through a couple. In this case, this is my bracelet connector color, so I'm just adding 3 of those, but you're going to do 1 of whatever you're coming out of, 1 bracelet connector color, and then 1 of whatever you're coming out of, so like that for the next row. That. Do this all the way around, and then I will show you how to tie it off, and I want you to watch how to tie it off, even if you know how to make an X-base cuff, because there's a couple tricks that are going to make your glove go on easier, going to make it kind of loose. When it comes to tying off something that goes so far up your arm, it has to get all the way around your hand, all the way around your wrist. I want to thank you guys for joining me today, my glove making journey, and I want to encourage you to go show me how this turned out for you guys. So my handle pretty much everywhere is Sour Candy Castle. So between Instagram, Etsy, Pinterest, whatever, YouTube. And I encourage you to show me how your gloves turned out. Send me a DM. You can tag me in your post. I really love, helping inspire you guys to be creative. And I'm super, super in love with this stitch. So if it worked out for you, I'd love to see it. If it didn't, please let me know in the comments and I can kind of give you some pointers or put some stuff in the description if there was anywhere people are consistently getting confused. I'm happy to help clear things up. Like I said, the #1 thing you can do for yourself getting used to this stitch is learning how to make an X-base cuff. So if you didn't know before and you're following along with me today, you know now. So as I come across this next row, just like we've been doing, in through the center bead, out through the center bead. This time it's the center bead that's our bracelet color. Oops, that's the wrong color. It's okay to make mistakes, like I said. Just go back and fix them. I grabbed a pink instead of an orange. It's okay. Orange. Alright, and you get a chance to watch me do this again. So on that last one, like I just said, in through this center bead, out through the bracelet connector center bead. And so my glove is going to be about 18 high because I did 17 rows plus this extra row. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put 2 of these bracelet base main beads kind of in between each of these connector beads we just did, like we're closing off an X base cuff, which is pretty standard. But if you made yours substantially longer, I want you to do like a couple in here that have 3 on them, kind of to make it fan out and a little bit bigger. Now, if that doesn't make sense, let me know and I can explain again. I maybe do like 2 or 3 of them that have 3 if yours is substantially longer because of the way that the glove is going to go up your arm. But for me, I only did 18 on this one. So I'm going to do sets of 2 in this nice kind of lemony pale butter yellow. Into my center beads. 1, 2. Then my center bead. And then I'm going to show you how to tie it off. Really appreciate if you got this far through the video because these gloves mean a lot to me and I'm really glad you guys like them enough to want to learn how to make them. Add 2 through the center bead. Add 2 through the center bead. Alright. As we come across our last one, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to add 2 through this center bead, but I want you to land over here, and I'll show you why. Like that. Got it? I want you to come out farther than you just put them on. So maybe I'll go through one more for good measure. But I want this kind of like overlap in string here. See how there's 2? Instead of just tying it directly to where there's 1. That way when we put it on, it'll stretch way better. So, and then we're just gonna tie it off. Yay, that's a really important step because if you skip that step, what you're gonna find is that your glove is too tight and you can't put it on. I'm gonna tie it a couple times right here. Maybe 3 times. And then I'm just going to keep going and tie it again one more time over a couple more beads. Maybe like that. And that's just going to make us a little more secure. Cool. And I go through here and I kind of mess with this, and I'll pull on this, and I'll pull on this. We'll make it one big knot. And yeah, I encourage you to actually sit here and fidget with this before you cut it off, just to make sure it is super secure. It should be nice and stretchy since we did that kind of double over there. And if yours is not stretchy, it is possible you did not go far enough. Alright, I'm going to cut it off. Put a little string left, that's always a good thing. Take the bracelet off. Kind of squish it down. It will need to be adjusted, and voila! We got ourselves a Kandi glove. Nice and easy, super flexible. I can use my scissors. I can put my other bracelet on my other hand. And if you want to make another one, it's the same exact pattern. And it'll look slightly different because it'll be going this way. So it'll make a nice variety. Thank you guys for watching. And like I said, let me know how it goes.